The moment had finally arrived. The flotilla, laden with men and supplies, shoved off from the quarters they had known as home for the last 5 months in camp at River du Bois. Each man had worked hard, and each had faced choices that would shape his future, choices whose consequences might last for years, perhaps a lifetime. How long would the journey take? What difficulties would they face and have to overcome? Now they were bound for the last vestige of civilization, the edge of the frontier, before entering the unknown. The village of St. Charles was their final stop before the adventure would begin.
As Clark waited for Lewis's arrival before their departure upriver, every measure that had been completed thus far was in preparation for the journey. Captain Lewis had gathered the equipment, resource materials, maps and notes, and Captain Clark trained the men they needed. All their energies culminated to this point, leaving known civilization to penetrate the interior of the continent. The Enterprise was now on the doorstep of the western frontier.
Sergeant, a large amount of debris spotted ahead.
Captain Clark, there's too much debris. We're too high in the bow and too much weight in the aft.
Aye, Sergeant. When we put ashore, we'll move some weight forward.
Clear it out, boys.
A heavy laden vessel needs a well-balanced load, not one that rides high in the bow, which could ride up over logs, sawyers, and debris, but have the weight in the front not to draft too deep. The goal is to delicately plow through unavoidable dangers in the river. Submerged logs and stumps, called sawyers, were hazardous in the river that could sink a wooden vessel. The wild Missouri may be any depth, sometimes waist deep in the middle, as Clark noted in his journal on May 15th prior to arriving at St. Charles. The boat ran on logs 3 times a day, owning her being too heavily loaded astern. With John McKay's advice and help to the captains, who had experience with the Northwest Company, they packed the Indian trade goods into 14 barrels and 1 box. Clark noted it was not likely enough goods, as I think necessary for the multitude of Indians through which we must pass on our road across the continent.
Captain, it looks like we have a welcoming party.
So we do, Sergeant. Fire salute.
Sergeant Pryor, fire the bow piece.
Fire in the hole! Welcome to St. Charles.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of the merchants and the citizens of St. Charles, we welcome your arrival.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure it will. Captain Lewis is anxious to arrive.
Captain, I have the honor of presenting to you Lieutenant Charles Théon, the Commandant of St. Charles.
Captain Clark, we've been anxiously awaiting you and Captain Lewis's arrival. I have no doubt the transference of Louisiana will be much in our discussions in the next few days.
I'm sure it will, and Captain Lewis is anxiously awaiting his arrival.
Captain Clark, the missus and I would enjoy having you over for dinner tonight, assuming you have no other plans.
Thank you, sir. Let me get the men squared away, and I would love to join you this evening.
Third squad, attention!
Captain Clark, my squad is assembled and ready for your direction.
Thank you, Sergeant. Sergeant Orway's squad is going to make camp here at the boats. Your squad is going to make camp in the town square. Represent the company well. Sergeant Pryor, take charge, make camp.
Yes, sir. Third squad, shoulder your firelocks. To the left, face. Forward, march. Trail your firelock.
Attention. Sergeant, if you need me, I'll be having dinner with the Duquettes.
Very good, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Clark, after wrapping up his duties and letters for the day, looks forward to an evening of fine dining and intriguing conversation at the Duquette's home, who extended an invitation upon arrival earlier that day.
Hey, John Boy, them French girls sound awful fun over there. Let's go have some fun.
I don't know. It sounds like a bad idea to me.
Come on, Hugh.
Hey, fellas, it's gonna be a long time before we see pretty girls like that again. Heck, we might be dead. I say we go join the fun. Let's go, you scallywags.
The sergeant begins to make the rounds to check on the posted sentries and discovers the camp's perimeter has been compromised.
Sergeant Pryor, set the perimeter to the camp.
Yes, sir.
Grab your weapons and report to Sergeant Pryor.
Form up right here. Gentlemen, on me.
Bratton, go and tell Captain Clark that Collins, Warner, and Hall are missing off of guard detail.
Collins, Warner, and Hall?
That's correct.
Yes, Sergeant.
Follow me.
Meanwhile, they are entertained and welcomed as honored guests to St. Charles. Captain Clark is unaware of the chaos that is raging back at camp. The captains had hoped they were beyond the self-serving decisions by members of the detachment in direct disobedience of orders. The failure of the men to pull together at this late date threatened to bring chaos to the mission.
Ma'am, I need to speak to Captain Clark immediately.
Yes, sir.
Captain Clark.
Yes, Private.
We have guards missing. A search is underway, sir.
Which ones are missing?
Collins, Warner, and Hall, sir.
Thank you. If it gets worse, discharge the weapon, and I will leave immediately. You're dismissed.
Would you like a little more, sweetie? There you go. Yes, sir. All right, I want to propose a toast. Here's to those who wish us well. All the rest can go to hell. White House.
Sergeant.
Have you seen Collins, Warner, or Hall?
Why, sure. They're in the tavern. They're drinking and dancing with women.
Thank you. Get back to camp. It's being secured.
Yes, Sergeant.
I am Mr. Light on my feet. Yes, I am. Ladies, I beg your forgiveness for the interruption this evening. Hall, Collins, Warren, front and center. You are under arrest for dereliction of duty. You have deserted your post. Come with me. Follow me. Ladies, pardon us. We're needed back at camp. We'll continue later. Time.
We'll pick it up at another time.
Come on.
Fix your hat, Hall.
Captain Clark. Detachment. Fall in.
Men, this blatant disregard for command authority will not be tolerated. You're on the doorstep of entering hostile territory. Your judgment has failed this enterprise. Your dereliction of duty, your conduct, and your actions have dishonored this detachment. Your court-martial will be held at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning on the quarterdeck, where evidence will be presented of your conduct. Till then, you're confined to your tent. Sergeant Floyd, take charge of the prisoners. Sergeant Pryor, post a guard.
Forward, march.
On the 17th of May, 1804, Sergeant Ordway convened a court-martial with 4 men of the party, destined for the Missouri expedition on the quarterdeck of the boat. Warner and Hall stand before the court-martial and plead guilty to the charge of being absent without leave. The court accepts the guilty plea of the third prisoner for the first charge of being absent on duty, but the prisoner pleads he is not guilty for the second, unbecoming behavior, and third charge, speaking disrespectfully to the captain's orders. The court are of the opinion that the prisoner is guilty of all charges alleged against him, and so sentence him to 50 lashes on his naked back. After punishment, Warner, Hall, and Collins will return to their squads and duty. The court is dissolved.